Hello and welcome to episode 40 of Take Your Points. I'm your host, Ronan Scott, and a Merry Christmas to you all. This is the last show for 2020, and for it we're going to do a special edition looking at Antrim hurlers' incredible season. Yes, Dublin was the big story last week winning the All-Ireland over Mayo, but we wanted to focus on Antrim's incredible success. So I've asked 4 Antrim hurlers to talk to us about the season. They are Ryan Elliott, the goalkeepers, going to chat about his season, a couple of defenders, Paddy Burke and Stephen Rooney, and the old hand that is Neil McManus, who was injured for much of the year but came in towards the end to make a rousing appearance in the championship run, which culminated in the Joe McDonagh victory. So here we go, the Saffron's incredible season.
Hi Ronan, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on. I suppose at the start of the year we knew that we'd be measured on if we got promoted from Division 2A and if we won the Joe McDonagh Cup. So they would have been our aims at the start of the year, to gain promotion and to win the Joe McDonagh. As well as that though, Antrim hurling hasn't been in a great place. So as a panel of players, it was up to us to try and put a bit of pride back into the jersey and make it attractive for young children in Antrim to want to play for the Antrim senior hurlers.
Hi Ronan, thanks for having me on the show. We had plenty of aims at the start of the year. You know, we had aimed for a very successful year, and it was probably because everyone had bought in, and the management had given us a really good environment to learn and train, and everyone was just collectively committed to the cause. As I said, collectively we had aimed to obviously win the league. We had a couple of difficult games, and we knew we were going to have a couple of difficult games, and they were the games that we had planned for and worked towards. And then once the league was obviously over, we didn't look any further than that, to be honest. And once the league was finished and the Joe McDonagh came up pretty quick, we played the league final and then played the week after, which was pretty tough. We had 3 really hard games between the league final and the first 2 games. The first 2 games were Westmeath and Carlow, and we knew that was going to be a tough battle. But once we won the league, we knew we were capable of winning the Joe McDonagh, so that was kind of obviously our aim set out for the year.
This season was simply about getting back to top level hurling. We had a young group of players, so it was probably an advantage that we were playing in Joe McDonagh and in Division 2 of the National League. Now we're back up into Division 1, where I played most of my hurling with Antrim. We're back into Liam McCarthy also. This is where this young team can flourish. We had a really good foundation. We've built on that. Now it's time to make a step up, and really this is where you learn how good you are as a team, as a panel, because you're competing against the very, very best. Whenever you're doing that, not only does it put you, under a bit more pressure to perform and to do the simple tasks and skills of the game well, your preparation has to come with it. You also, on match day, have to be at the top level for the entire match, and it will drive more out of these players, and it'll drive more out of the whole staff, I suppose, that are involved with Antrim and the entire setup. And I really look forward to that. Some of these younger players haven't experienced the very top level of hurling yet, and they'll get to do that in 2021. And it's an experience that I've been privileged to have, and there's nothing better than competing with the best in the country. And I think that this panel is ready for it. This team are looking forward to it. We know that there's bigger challenges ahead. There are bigger sacrifices to be made, but I think we're all looking forward to making those so as we can be successful in this tier. But looking forward now, it's definitely about sustaining our position in Division 1 of the National League and in the Liam McCarthy for next year. It would be nice to go a little bit further than that, but I think those are the 2 key focuses for 2021.
When COVID hit, we were maybe 3 or 4 days out from playing Kerry in the league final in Croke Park. It was tough when you heard that during that week that the game wasn't going to be on. No one really knew much about COVID at the time, but we were told that it could affect people's health. So that's the main thing. So it was kind of understandable the match not being on, but during the lockdown it was really, really tough. Maybe you were training by yourself, and you were training for the match, and maybe there was a date made for the match and that was getting moved back. And everyone was it was kind of more of a guessing game. So it was to whether even sometimes you maybe thought there wasn't going to be any GA this year, and just thankfully, there has been, and it was really, that was really testing time for everyone. So it was.
So when COVID hit, we were preparing to play the league final against Kerry. That was postponed at very short notice. All the preparation was really done. I think it was postponed 2 days before the final, and immediately that's a setback because you're geared up, you're ready to go, you've prepared, and it's such a big day as well for us and our progression. We were really, really looking forward to it. But I think very quickly we all realised that there was so much more at stake, and to put the brakes on everything really, sport as well as business and all kind of social interaction. It was the right move to be made, and I think even though we were disappointed not to get playing that final when it was originally scheduled, it was the right move for the country, and I think everybody understood that very quickly, and we've seen how quickly COVID spread throughout the country to all 4 provinces, and I think there weren't too many players who were still thinking about their matches they were missing out on simply because we knew that something more was at stake. But I think very quickly anyway in Antrim, Darren had the guys back together and regrouped, and we started doing our sessions via Zoom, the wall ball sessions mainly, and then doing our own gym sessions at home. I think there was a lot of kind of home gyms set up by hook or by crook very, very quickly around that time, and we worked very hard during lockdown as a group, kept the spirit of the team very close, and it was really, really good to be part of something that was being driven from so many different directions, and we accomplished quite a lot during that period, and I think we had seen that whenever we did come back. Our first game was the league final, and how well the lads played that day, even though I got injured at the very start of that game. I think the boys responded so well to the layoff because they had put in such effort and such preparation. It came at a bad time for us, the COVID break, because we've been going so well. We were unbeaten. We just pulled off a real kind of result down in awfully to get a draw with them whenever we looked dead and buried, and that kind of showed us the spirit that was in the team, and I think it showed everybody that. But we were so pleased that day because awfully, obviously they've they have slipped away a little bit in the last couple of years, but still a big county, and that was a big result for us that day, and it would have been a huge boost going into the final. But we had the layoff, and then we came back, and the work we done during lockdown really stood to us, and we've seen that with the league final performance.
Strange times, obviously, but when you're told you can't go out and train with the lads, and you can't go club training, and you can't even go out to your restaurant, it's very strange, But the momentum that we had built up towards that league final, it didn't go away, and that's being completely honest. We trained by ourselves, and when you have a great bunch of lads that we have, you knew every single person was doing it, and I don't think that set us back one bit. If anything, I think it made us slightly stronger. You knew everyone was bought in, and you knew everyone was going to put in a massive effort during those months. The break was, and I think that was evident in the club matches that Antrim provided over the summer. We had those championship games streamed. We won a junior championship, which was the first senior championship medal that I have with the club. But some of the other games were phenomenal, especially in the senior championship with the semi-finals. And I don't think I was at those games and seeing some of the lads who are on the team. Those lads obviously pushed on, put in hard work over the break before the club championship started back up, and you could see it. Some of the lads were in phenomenal condition going in, and you could see that because they were standing out. So I don't think that COVID nearly set us back. If anything, it brought us forward, because the mentality of the lads was to push on during this time, and kind of, if you're struggling in any way, if it's you need rehab or you need a bit more strength, you're able to work on it and kind of perfect those kind of weaknesses as such, because normally in a normal season you're running through club into county and back then to club, and you only have a couple of weeks off maybe, or a month at the most, and it's not a lot of time to kind of fully recover and to kind of work on those weaknesses. So I think from an Antrim's perspective, it maybe helped us develop slightly, you know.
So the Division 2A league final was a huge one for us. It was absolutely massive to get us back into the top flight of league hurling. This year we're going to have the great and the good of Ireland coming to Corrigan Park to take us on. And we have a team that I'm very confident now are capable of sustaining their Division 1 status, and that's what it's about this year. Being, acclimatising to that level of competition and staying there, because the benefits will be incremental, but they'll be huge over the years to come. If we can stay in Division 1, we will see our team, our very, very young team, flourish, and there's so much potential within that group that I do believe we can be competitive for a long time, just like Antrim were in the late 80s and early 90s. Antrim were in I think it was an 8-team Division 1 for about 6 or 7 years consecutively, and playing at that top level, that's why Antrim were putting in serious performances in All-Ireland semi-finals year in, year out, because they were, they became acclimatised to that level of competition. So that was a huge, huge day for us winning that league title this year.
That was our goal at the start. When Darren came in, we wanted to go to Division 2, and obviously with COVID hitting, it made it 10 times harder to get everyone motivated to train individually, to do their own thing, to get better at their weaknesses. But when that final whistle went during that day, it was unbelievable. We wanted to be up, showcasing our skills against the likes of Limericks, the Kilkennys, the Tipperaries. That's who you want to play, and you want to play them teams as much as you can. That's, at the end of the day, that's what's only going to make you a better hurler.
Yeah, it was massive for this panel of players and for Antrim as a whole. To get back playing Division 1 hurling and being exposed to that level can only make you better as an individual hurler and then as a team. It is a young panel, but the panel is very ambitious, and we want to test ourselves against the best players and the best teams in the country, and being back in Division 1 next year will allow us to do that.
The Joe McDonagh game that I think we learnt the most from was probably the first game against Westmeath. We were coming into it after beating Kerry in the league final, and we were missing maybe 5 or 6 people due to COVID related issues, and we were going up to Corrigan. It was probably many people we were outsiders to a lot of people, and I think we won that game comfortably enough, and that really instilled a lot of belief in the group that we're as good as any team in the Joe McDonagh, and there was no reason why we couldn't go on and win the competition.
Westmeath probably was the best performance of the year, and not only just down to the actual pitch performance, but the performance of the players, because we had a kind of a COVID outbreak the week after the league final, and it was a completely different team that was played against Westmeath, and Westmeath made it very difficult for us in Dunloy, the Joe McDonagh the year previous. So we knew that we had to put in a big performance, because the performance that they put in Dunloy kind of set us back a bit, and they denied us a spot into the final in 2019. So we knew that when we met them again, especially in Corrigan, in Belfast, that we had to put in a massive shift, and the lads that came in made a huge effort. And I can't remember the last time an Antrim team beat Westmeath by 19 points, so that was probably one of the best performances.
We probably learned a bit about ourselves in every game as the championship went along, but we definitely took a lot of learnings from the Carlow game down there. We weren't happy with how we performed for large parts of that game, but I suppose it was testament to the character and the spirit that's within the squad that we still managed to come away with a draw on that day. Our best performance would definitely have to be the Westmeath game. Our forwards were on fire that day. We couldn't really get the ball into them quick enough. You look even at Kieran Clark, who wasn't in the first 15 for the league final the week previous, come on and scored 2-8 in Corrigan that day. Overall, it was just a very good team performance, especially given the way the game went against Westmeath the year previous in Dunloy, so we were quite happy with how we performed that day.
So when it comes to the Joe McDonagh this year, I obviously didn't play a minute during the group phase, and I probably had the best seat in the house for every one of the games. It was just fantastic to watch. I think we got so much confidence from our performances in the league and winning that league final that the boys took it to a new level. I don't think any of the teams that we played expected, our performances to be just quite where they were. We were hurling with confidence. We were hurling with such a strong panel. I think our first game was against Westmeath, and it was the week after winning the league final. We had a bout of COVID and 3 or 4 injuries, so we were down probably 6 or 7 of our team. And the lads that came in, some of them kept their spot for the remainder of the championship, which is fantastic to show that strength and depth. But we have an incredible panel with 33 players now, and there's competition for places around the panel, around the team, just to be part of a match day 26. So that's what you want. That's a huge development for Antrim. But the performances, the things that stick out during that round robin phase were, the win down in Carlow, the late goal by Donald Nugent, to kind of steal a draw. But again, quite like the result we got down in Tullamore against Offaly, it was huge. We didn't give in. We kept fighting, and we got our reward that day. And many's the time that's happened to us against other opposition, and now we seem to be the team who keep going right to the end. And maybe it's a lot to do with the conditioning work that we had done during lockdown with our strength and conditioning coach, Brendan Murphy, and the team were in very, very good shape, and we were kind of enjoying the latter parts of games because we were putting on the pressure and we weren't kind of trying to defend leads or anything like that. So it was a really, really good performance from the team across all those Joe McDonagh Cup games. To go through it unbeaten, was fantastic.
We learned a lot from the games. Obviously, we played Kerry 3 times and probably learned the most about them and their style of play, and it probably played dividends in the final, in the Joe McDonagh final. Even though they played a completely different formation, we knew what style of play they wanted to play, carry the ball through the lines, and try and stop us from scoring goals. Like, we knew that was their aim, and we knew that they were going to obviously try and stop us for goals, and if they could do that, they could be in for a chance. And fair play to them. The question is, what do we learn most about, the teams? They probably learned a lot from us, and that our momentum came from scoring goals, and we had the forwards to score goals. So we definitely learned a lot off each other playing against Kerry, and they proved difficult for us in certain times, and every game was very, very close. We also learned a lot from playing Carlow. Carlow we've had plenty of games with them over the last couple of years, and there's always been a puck of a ball in it, and it came right down to the wire in that game in the Joe Mac, and that was our 3rd game on a bounce, and the resilience that we showed to get the draw and for Big Donald to get the goal was absolutely massive. So we learned a lot from that. We showed our desire and our endeavour to get over the line, and to be honest, we were happy with the point walking out of there, because we stole it right at the end, and that was just showed massive courage to do that.
The Joe McDonagh was a fantastic day. From start to finish, it was my first time playing in Croke Park, and it was a very enjoyable but nervous experience. It's probably it definitely is at the minute my highlight of playing for Antrim, and I would say it's many other boys in the team.
To be honest, it's very difficult to kind of think back about the match. It goes by far too quickly. But at the start of the game, we get off the flyer and playing in defence, and they dropped 2 men back basically, and it allowed us to free up Paddy Burke at centre back. And I knew that as soon as that happened, that we as a collective unit in the backs would be maybe a bit more comfortable having that extra guy back there. But in a way, we knew that our forwards were going to be up against it, and our delivery of the ball had to be good in, and that would play a massive would have a massive impact in the game.
Kerry set up very defensively in the final, as we thought they would, which made it hard for our forwards to get much space or to get into the flow that they had been in the last couple of games. Although then we did control the first quarter, we missed a few goal chances, and the longer that this went on and we were missing chances like that, Kerry probably took a lot of confidence from this. As the last few times we'd played Kerry, we'd happened to score a couple of goals in the first half. Then we probably approached the second half a bit different. We were a bit more controlled in what we were doing. We weren't trying to force things. We were maybe a wee bit more careful in possession, knowing that they had the man at the back extra. Then this allowed us to get a wee bit more space up front as we were showing that wee bit more composure, and then the introduction of the subs in the second half had a massive impact on the game, which is great from our point of view, that we were able to bring on players from the bench that could contribute so much, and I suppose in the end this was probably enough to get us over the line.
At the start of the second half, I think we were in a point down, and we probably felt that we shouldn't have been going on at half time down. But we come out in the second half and we really, we kicked on and we got a good win of scores. I think we maybe brought it to, we're leading at 6 or 7 at a stage, and I really think just the start of the second half, we maybe at half time we get the telling off that we probably need it, and it's kind of helped us, so it did.
So my key memories for the final are all probably at the final whistle. I was introduced just shortly after half time into the match, and before that I think we were just frustrated. We were doing things that we hadn't done all year. People were taking too much out of the ball and we were shooting from bad angles. That's just not us as a team. We've been very, very kind of team orientated, use the ball well. The ball goes to the man in the better position, and we've kind of ran the ball well and offloaded at the right times and played it through the lines. And I think we probably showed a little bit of our inexperience during the first half of that game, where we kind of hurt a little bit individually and we didn't do the things that we had been doing so well that had got us to the final. And I think everybody was just kind of frustrated in the first half. And I know as a sub watching, you're a little bit frustrated because there's so much more in the lads, and I'm sure the lads were frustrated themselves. And Kerry played very deep. They had 2 or 3 guys additionally back in their own half to try and stifle our forward line, because it is very potent, and that definitely worked for them. It kept them in touch. We actually went in a point up, after us having played the vast majority of the hurling. We had let them in for a kind of soft goal too, and that was a little bit of a worry, but more frustration than worry.
Kerry, after the water break, kind of broke our momentum and got back into the game, and then they got the goal. And that was definitely set us back, and at half time we went in one point down. So I think at half time that definitely was the turning point. There was maybe a few harsh words said in the dressing room, and rightly so. And I think we came out in the second half and once again we took off to an absolute flyer, and the second water break absolutely killed our momentum again and let them back in. But I do think that we definitely pushed on. In there's so many experiences that I've had with Antrim, is that once a team builds up a bit of momentum, that you maybe crumble and you might concede a goal or two and the heads might drop. But it just shows the kind of impact that some of these lads have on others. When Donal and Neil and Kobe came on, Conal Cunning, the lift that give, and I know that I would always say that Ross was one of the best leaders I've played with, and knowing that he was coming on when things were getting down to the wire was massive for us. Yeah, so that was a big turning point.
We kind of warmed to the task a little bit, started doing the things that we've been doing all year that were good. We retained possession quite well, we played it out through the lines, and we used our inside forward line who are just magic. The likes of Kobe whenever he came in, and Kieran Clark in the other corner. Those lads will light up any day for you, and they'll do damage against any defence. So I think when we started to use them and bring them into the game a little bit more, we did flourish. Now Kerry put on a lot of pressure near the end, and it was backs to the wall for maybe the last 5 or 6 minutes. But even whenever we won possession in those situations, we played it out properly. We used the ball well, and it was really, really nice, because the last 3 or 4 minutes, we knew we were going to get over the line, and They were going to need a goal to even get close enough to us to put any pressure on. Even though we only got over the line by 2, they were needing that goal, and we weren't going to let that happen. So that was a nice feeling, I must say, the last 3 or 4 minutes, knowing that unless something spectacular happened for Kerry, we were going to be getting our hands in that cup.
Yeah, this season means an awful lot. Personally, it means a lot because of, again, it's probably for every other player playing inter-county, was the massive effort that was put in. At the start of the year, you go through your normal pre-season, you go into the league, and then once COVID hits, there's a massive void there where you don't know what's happening, and it takes massive resilience to actually keep yourself going. And it is hard at times, obviously, but having to train by yourself and, still eat right and hydrate and do all the right things is very hard when you can't see any light at the end of the tunnel. And getting that win in Croke Park was absolutely huge. And it was massive, especially on our final day for the people of Antrim. And for Antrim hurling, it is probably one of the biggest things that's happened in so long,
For the bad year that 2020 has been on the pitch, it's been a very successful one. We won the club championship with Dunloy and won the league title with Antrim and the Joe McDonagh. It's been for a weird year. It's been a very successful one on the pitch. For Antrim hurling, I think this year it means everything. I think as a team we've put a lot of pride back in the jersey. Maybe you've seen the support we got online and in the schools and for everyone. Wishing you good luck and for all the matches and that. And I think it's just a pity the crowds weren't allowed into the matches. Obviously it's understandable, but I think if they were there, it would have really made the occasion a lot better. And I'm just hoping in 2021 that it's another successful year, and hopefully the Antrim supporters are able to get back in and especially shout us on in Division 1 and in the Leinster Championship.
We deserved what we got out of this season, and that really the end goal was to be back playing Division 1 hurling in the league and to be back playing in the Leinster Senior Hurling Championship this year. And we were just delighted, really, and you could see the outpouring of emotion because we got back to where we believe we should be, and it makes for a very, very exciting 2021.
As well as that, it's for the young people in Antrim to have a team to look up to and hopefully inspire them to one day want to play for the Antrim Senior Hurlers and pull on that saffron jersey. That's really what it's all about.
There's so much backing now for the underage setup, especially in Belfast, where I'm from. In the Gaelic Fast initiative is absolutely huge, and you can see the benefits of that already, and it's only started. And at the other end, you've got the likes of the Saffron Business Forum and Club Antrim who are putting in huge work, and there's so many things that happen behind the scenes that the average person doesn't see. It's not just the management and the players that put in a massive shift throughout the year. There's so many people behind the closed doors that are doing so much work and they're not seen. And I think we give something back to them, winning the league and getting back to Division 1 and winning the Joe McDonagh, getting back to Liam McCarthy. It kind of makes their effort, their unheard of effort, a bit makes it a bit more sweeter for them. So
that's our show for this week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this year. You can go back and watch all our shows from this year and last year. And I also encourage you to download and subscribe to Gaelic Life. You can do that online. PDF edition website. We've got the new app as well. So I encourage you to get involved, subscribe. You've got plenty of good stories about all the stories in Ulster. But thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in 2021. Thanks.